Will the November 4th, 2025 election be good for Democrats? Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, sharing the videos, watching them all the way to the end, promoting the channel on your own social media platforms, emailing your friends and telling them to watch the videos, which I know a lot of you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This channel has grown quickly and I'm very amazed by it. So thank you, and it's because of you. Um, I want to look at the 2025 election. I'm going to make my final predictions for the races that I see and a couple that I think might be surprises. Um, we'll take a look at the energy just to see if the election will be secure and safe. My good friend Ann and I started a channel, and on that we have a video where we talk about manifesting a safe election and protecting the election as well. So please check out that video. It will be linked in the description below. Okay, so lots of races. The big ones are Virginia governor's and New Jersey governor's race. We also have the Virginia House of Delegates race, which would be super important because if the Democrats can control the House of Delegates, they control the Senate. If they win the governorship, they could redraw the maps if they so desired to combat the Republican craziness with that. So, very important races. We also have the controversial Virginia Attorney General's race where Jay Jones, I think that's right, I can't read my own handwriting, but I think that's right, um, had some pretty horrible text messages that came out. He's against the Republican incumbent. Um, can he pull that one out? I think that's an important race as well. Then, of course, we have the New York mayoral race, New York City mayoral race between Mondami and Cuomo. I can't quite say his name right. It's a stutter issue. It's not that I can't hear it right. I just can't quite say it right. So I'll just say between the Democrat and Cuomo, I think will be easier for me. And then we had the Pennsylvania Supreme Court race retention races. This is whether you want to retain the Pennsylvania Supreme Courts. They're all Democrats that are up. And then also I think there's going to be some surprises as well. So we'll look at all of those. I think the 2025 elections are going to be a great night for Democrats. Some of the lesser covered races that I think are going to go in the Democrats' favor are a bunch of mayoral races throughout the country. Um, I think the Democrats win almost all of them, with perhaps a very few exceptions. I don't have the complete list in front of me. There's a lot of mayoral races. But let's start first with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Will the Democrats retain their seats? Because if they retain their seats, then the Democrats retain control over the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So, so there's three of them. I'm going to read. I think all three of them go the same way. Uh, well, I mean, that's about as positive of a yes card we can start with is the sun. People are seeing through this nonsense. So there's been a campaign to try to convince people to vote no, as if no means yes. So should they be retained? Yes means they should. No means they should be. They should lose their seats. And so there's been a lot of misinformation here, but people see through it. People, it's not their first time voting on these things. So I don't think there's any reason to be scared. Yeah, there's some dark stuff going on behind the scenes here. I don't think it'll work. And the Democrats fought back. Now, I think they scared a lot of people. by, fundraising on these races, but that's the day and age we live in. Got to spend money. Um, yeah, moving forward, the chariot card, they're gonna be okay. Yeah. The two of cups at the center of the reading. I think all three of them are retained and rather easily. I don't think it's particularly close. The King of Swords, the reason why this is going to be this way is because the people of Pennsylvania feel betrayed by voting for Donald Trump, or the felon, I should say. They do. They feel betrayed. They don't like the way things are going. He would not win today if the election were today. Um, he just wouldn't. He's the reason why Democrats are going to do so well. He really is. He's ill. Uh, People know it. People want protections against that, and that means electing Democrats. So, as far as the Democratic Supreme Court retentions, people aren't going to fall for the truth. They're going to keep them in power. And, you know, they're doing this to protect against any sort of craziness. They feel betrayed by the Republicans. That's why they're going to keep them in power. And the Democrats have done a really good job fighting to make sure that people understand that which way they're supposed to vote. Yes, there's been some dark stuff, but the state's going to move forward with the democratically controlled Supreme Court because people are thinking about this logically. And they realize that if the Republicans got control of the Supreme Court, they would probably lose a whole bunch of rights. And they're just they're ready for this horrible cycle that we've all been living through to go away. And so they're just going to make sure that they do their part. So I think it's delusional of Republicans to think that they had a chance because I don't think they ever did. I think slow and steady wins the race, which is exactly what the Democrats have been doing, and people are going to vote for stability. And this will not be the most widely covered of races, but it's one of the more important ones. Okay. Uh, the New York Senate race between Cuomo and the Democrat. I'm going to do cards on the left for the Democrat and cards on the right for Cuomo, and we'll see what we get. I thought the Democrats' line of what I lack in experience, I can make up for integrity, and what Cuomo has lacks in integrity, he can never make up for with experience. That quote in particular probably won the race, sealed the deal. I not only think that the Democrats going to win, I think the Democrats going to get more than 50%. I think it's going to be a big win. I don't think it's going to be particularly close, but let's just see. People are definitely thinking about it. The Hermit card. Andrew Cuomo is a tainted name. So we get the Nine of Pentacles over here for the Democrat. And people see Andrew Cuomo as the Six of Pentacles, giving and receiving things of value. He can be bought and sold. That I know years ago people wouldn't have never said that about him, but that's the way people feel. The Democrat gets the Lover's card, and Cuomo gets Temperance. I think that's actually not a good card in this situation, but let's keep going. The Two of Cups, I think the voters choose him. And Cuomo just is too much of a hill to climb here at the Ten of Wands. So I think that this race is not close. I think Temperance is not a good card over here because uh, people see him as not basically making a difference. They see Cuomo as like the status quo and like there isn't going to be any change. Now, whether the Democrats good after he's elected is a different story. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think he'll win. And whether he's able to get the policies through that he's been talking about is a completely different story altogether. Okay, so let's move to New Jersey. So New Jersey, we have the Democrat Mickey Sherrill running against the Republican. There's been, some attempts to taint Mickey Sherrill. Uh, you know, New Jersey's a weird state when it comes to governors. It is, but I think, the days of electing Chris Christie type characters are over. I just do. I think in some weird way, Chris Christie plays a big role in this election because the Republican can't say that he's independent because that's kind of what Christie always said. And then he turned out to be a Trump sycophant until then he changed his mind. So uh, people just see the R and the D this election. That's all it is. It's R's and D's. It's not, uh, people aren't really voting for the person with a few exceptions, with very few exceptions. Like there might be some mayoral races. Can't remember the one that I thought that the Republican might win, but was a fairly big city. Can't remember. Um, okay. So the New Jersey governor's race. So we'll do the same thing, Mickey Sherrill on the left, Republican on the right. We'll go how many ever cards we think we need to go. Um, I think this race is closer than one might guess. Uh, yeah, we get the five of wands over here. She's fighting to win. Like this is not in the bag. It is important that people go out and vote. Uh, he's throwing all sorts of mudslinging, or however you want to think about it, at the page of wands. People don't particularly like that either. My fear is that voter turnout is bad, in which case he might win. Uh, People are definitely going to pass judgment on whether they believe the stuff that's being swung against her. And people actually don't view him, they view him along the same lines as Donald Trump as kind of ill. So I think ultimately, she gets the magician card as well. And he gets the card for the voters, but that doesn't really necessarily mean anything. I think he gets a bigger vote share than what you would think. People see her as leading down the path versus seeing him as putting up obstacles to progress with the Nine of Wands. And I think ultimately her fiery messages about Republicans just in general keep people from voting for him with the Eight of Swords. I think she wins. I think she doesn't win by a super large margin. I think it's somewhere in the 4 to 8 point range. I think she'll get somewhere between 52 and 54% of the vote. Something along those lines feels right to me. I mean, it's not super close. It's not like we're gonna have to wait till the next morning to know who won, but it will be closer than the Virginia governor's race, which is going to be a surprise to a lot of people. Okay, so also, I believe we have the New Jersey House, they don't call them House of Delegates, but the state legislature. So do Democrats keep control of all, do they have the trifecta, the governors, the Senate, and the legislature? Um, they currently do now. Yes, they do. And this is important because they could theoretically draw out, I think there are two Republican seats. I think they could easily draw one of them if they decide to do that. I could be wrong about the number of seats. So New Jersey has 12 congressional seats. Maybe they have three Republicans. Um, I think they can get rid of one. Okay, let's move to, let's see. Let's look at Virginia. So Virginia, we have three races that I want to look at. I want to look at the Attorney General's race, which is marred in some controversy, the Virginia governor's race, and then the Virginia House of Delegates race. And then we'll take some overall looks on like, will the election be secure? Will it be safe? These type of things. Of the Virginia governor's race. So this is between Abigail Spanberg and Earl Seals is her last name, the Republican. I think we'll do the same thing. 5 cards over here, 5 cards over there. Spanberg over here. I'm sure she wins. It's a question by how much. And by how much kind of matters because by how much could affect the Attorney General's race and could affect the House of Delegates. So the felons, a key of mine over here on the left, running against Donald Trump. Temperance on the right. Republicans aren't seen as moderate. That's kind of the point. We get the Empress over here for Spanberg. I think she's thought that she could nurture and bring forward a healthy economy. I think people think she knows what she's, or feel like she knows what she's doing. We do get the Eight of Wands over here. Republicans are pretending that there's momentum here. I don't feel it. But they're sure trying to sell it as if it's close. Um, we get the Wheel of Fortune to better than 50-50 shot over here. We do get the Six of Wands, which is the victory card over here, but I mean, it might be a victory in the sense that it's closer than it could have been. Yeah, we get the Three of Wands over here. It's like inevitable Spanberg's gonna win. Um, and we get the Hierophant. And again, it comes down to like what it would mean, what the voters think it would mean for the Republican to win. Because in some ways it's validating the felon, right? And I don't think Virginia wants to do that. There's things going on behind the scenes over here, the high priestess. And people know that there's some dirty money over here on the right with the Republican. You know, I'm going to throw just a couple cards from the Toth deck to clarify this, but I'm pretty confident Spanberg's going to win. I think it's a question by whether she wins by more than 10 points. Now that's a big win in Virginia. I mean, Biden won Virginia by 10 points. But Democrats don't, I mean, governor's races are generally pretty close in Virginia. Uh, we get the Eight of Wands over here, swiftness, and we get wealth. And I think that's the key. I think, uh, yeah, power and uh, uh, judgment. Uh, so it's going to be whether it's by 10 points, I'm not sure. It'll be by more than the New Jersey race that I feel pretty good about. It's going to be right around that 10-point mark. If it's more than 10 points, I think that's like a really good sign for Democrats. Um, yeah, I could be right or I could be wrong. I mean, pretty good track record on elections on this channel. In fact, I don't think we've gotten one wrong actually. Um, okay. The Virginia House of Delegates. So Spanberg winning big probably means that the House of Delegates goes to the Democrats. Now we can't have it 50-50. We need a majority if they're going to do anything without the Republicans. Can you show us about the House of Delegates in Virginia? This is a trickier conversation because with the Eight of Pentacles, one plan doesn't work, try another. You know, the state delegate seats are gerrymandered too, right? Democrats have never really been in a position to redraw the districts. We get the full card, this new beginning, and we get death, the end of the dark cycle. That's what people are voting against. They're voting against the Republicans because I think people know. Like, I don't think it's been talked about a lot, but I think people know that this is improves the chances of Democrats winning the House in 26, and ultimately that's more important to them. There's a lot of contemplation here, a lot of messages going to and fro, which is normal. People are also voting for stability, and I don't think they feel that the economy is particularly stable. And because there's a Republican governor currently, I think that's why the Democrats will win. The Tower card, I think, is an interesting card here. Does something big happen before the election? It could. Um, it very well could. But even if it doesn't, then the tower is basically like the 2024 election, the felon getting into the White House. And I think that's really changed the trajectory. I think this would be a totally different race if that hadn't happened. Yeah, I feel like yeah, people are going to turn their backs on Republicans and vote for the Democrats. I think the Democrats will win the House of Delegates by 1 or 2 seats. It's not going to be a lot. I think there's 100 House of Delegates, if I remember correctly. I think Democrats will have 51, 52 seats, maybe 54 at the most. Um, Not a lot, just because of the way the districts are drawn. So I'm going to go with the Democrats win the House of Delegates in Virginia. The Virginia Attorney General. So the Democratic candidate has some text messages, some hate spewed text messages, violent, I mean, well, I guess vile too, but violent. Text messages. He apologized at the debate for them. This would have been a slam dunk without that. But so we'll do the Democrat on the left, the Republican on the right. Who will win the Virginia Attorney's General race? Okay, we get the Empress and the Three of Pentacles. Republicans are definitely putting in some last minute money over here. Um, Democrats are also putting money in over here. I think the question is trust. Do you trust the Republican not to be partisan? He claims he won't. And we get strength over here for the Democrat, and we get the Hierophant. If this race had gone unnoticed, the Democrat would easily win. Like if they were the two people and it was just this person and this person, Republican, Democrat, and nobody knew anything about it, the Democrat would win. We get the Knight of Pentacles against the Two of Wands. It really is like the choice is whether they can trust him to be not partisan. I think it's, yeah, that makes sense. Again, I think it's really just an R&D election. So I think this is this is one of the surprises here is that the Democrat wins the Virginia Attorney General's race. Um, I don't think people think that's going to happen. I think they think the Republican will win because of all the controversy. But I think the Democrat pulls it out, not by a lot. This could be one of those races that's decided by, less than 15,000 votes, right? It could be really close. So, yeah. Okay, so Pennsylvania Supreme Court, Democrats are okay. New York mayor's race, the Democrat wins, Cuomo loses. I'm sorry, New Jersey and Virginia's governor's race, the Democrats won both of those. Democrats have a trifecta in both Virginia and New Jersey after this election. The Virginia Attorney's General race surprises. I think the Democrat wins, but it's super close. Super close. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that one will surprise people. People aren't expecting that. Okay, so there's a weird race. Well, not weird. There's a race in Georgia that's the utility regulator. Does the Democrat win there? Because I think this is the other one that surprises people. The Democrat win there. Um, Maybe. With the moon card, lots of volatility. Hmm. So we have the moon card, the devil card, and the four of wands. So volatility, toxicity, and then the voters. The nine of pentacles and the page of swords. Well, and the tower underneath. This is one that feels like it could be super close, like just like razor thin. When page of wands, the hanged man. I mean, we might not know for a while, is what it kind of feels like. Failure. I don't think so. I think the Republicans win here, but it's really close, and that's enough to really encourage Democrats. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if the Democrat won. I'm just going to go with he doesn't. But I would be surprised if it's not close. That I feel like it's really close. Uh, okay, so do we need to be worried about security? Do we need to be worried about security? And will the elections be secure, counted fairly? I know this is on the top of minds of a lot of people, but oh, the California race. I'm sorry, the California map race. Uh, will the California proposition pass to change the maps? That's the big race. Can't believe I almost let that slip. Uh, I let it slip because I don't think it's going to be particularly close, but let's just see. Will California vote to redraw their maps? We get the Ten of Swords ending a dark cycle. Republicans throwing mud. There's a lot of hope here. Democrats are hinging their hope here. Um, we get the end of a cycle. There's a lot of anxiety around this race. Um, Circles of support for the other side. It does feel like some people are framing this as Democrats are trying to steal seats, but it's also a response to Republicans trying to steal seats. Things working behind the scenes. We get the Ten of Cups here and the Knight of Swords. Let's do one more. Eight of Cups. Yeah, so it's a bit confusing, but yeah. So, you know, California's going to choose to like end the cycle of nonpartisan map drawing because that gives them hope that they can take over, which gives over that Democrats will win the House. Uh, because they're responding to Texas, and that's exactly how it's phrased on the ballot. And people are going to vote for it. They're going to turn their back on this idea of nonpartisan gerrymandering or nonpartisan map drawing, which has always kind of been a Democratic platform, but it's not. If Republicans aren't going to play fair, and if the Supreme Court were to gut the Voting Rights Act completely, which I don't think is what happens, but if that were to happen, um, people think that the Democrats will win. I think the Democrats win either way. I don't think it matters um, in 2026. But I do think that that proposition will pass in California. Okay, so will the election be secure? Votes counted correctly? A lot of people are worried about it. Um, they're worried about it because there's like this collective desire to end this cycle. And the media is not helping because they want the story to be that the Democrats can't like get their stuff together, so to speak, which is not really the case. Now, there is a faction of people that try to pretend that there's a third party option when there's not. I mean, that's everybody's right to vote however they want, but ultimately that generally hurts Democrats more than Republicans. I think the election goes fairly smooth. I think, we get the two cups and then the eight of pentacles. I think there's some safety stuff here that we don't know about. I'm not worried about Dominion being sold, any of that conspiracy theories. I'm not buying into any of that. Um, I don't think it's what people think it is. We'll take a closer look for 2026 at that if we need to, but the truth is it's super hard to mess up the votes. It just is. I've worked as an election volunteer. I know how it works. It's not as easy as one might think. Uh, yeah, I think everything looks fine here. The Ace of Pentacles moving forward, the Six of Pentacles, three. So I think the elections are funded well. I think things are going to be fine. I think people are worried, but I think there's been a lot of planning going into this, and I think the elections are well funded. Of course, there aren't elections everywhere. There's a lot of local elections, mayoral races, for example, but statewide races, it's really New Jersey, Virginia, and California. That's basically it. Um, people see this as a new opportunity. That's why there's a lot of planning. I think the elections go pretty much without a problem. Um, I think this hopefully quells a lot of the conspiracies out there on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, both conspiracies here. Uh, yeah, I think, the election volunteers will do their job. I think they'll make sure everything's counted correctly and reported correctly. It's a lot of misinformation about how all that works. It's not computerized hardly at all. Uh, so the Four of Cups underneath, you know, I think most people aren't worried about it. I think it's a small minority on each side. And I think, yeah, I think things just go off without a hitch. We'll see. You know, it's just a lot of misunderstanding of how elections work. It's very disappointing. Okay, right. Do we need to be worried about safety issues? Possibly. There's always sick people out there in the world. This is a target, but I do think that there's been money spent, particularly in Virginia and New Jersey. Um, taking some time and trying to manifest some protective energy here wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't think anything bad happens. There's a possibility. I think we'll find out later that there was a plot to do something wrong, but I don't think so. I think it's a great night for Democrats. I think they win just about every single race of note. Um, I think they win the mayoral races up and down Michigan, for example, uh, and Detroit, Dearborn, Lansing, um, Florida. I don't know. I think there's a mayoral race in Miami. I should have probably looked that up. That one, I think maybe the Republicans wins. That's the one I was thinking the Republicans might win. But, you know, Florida's changed a lot. So yeah, I think it's a good night for Democrats. I think they basically went up and down the ballot. I think it's surprising the Virginia's attorney's general race. I think the Democrat actually wins there. I don't think that's consensus thought at all. And the Georgia utility regulation race, which nobody really would normally pay attention to, that one might be interesting. So, um, all right. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.